Hello, guys. Today we want to talk about dandelion. Dandelion is one of the plants that has health benefits that are so important. And the scientific name that we find it with is Taraxacum, with very many species. And so it doesn't matter of the species, but we are going to deal with the dandelion. And so this dandelion plant has got active components in it which help the body alleviate any particular symptoms, any kind of disease that we find in the body, that we are going to see how it is very, very essential in our body to help in particular systems in the healing process. And so, one of the components or the constituents that we find in dandelion is that there is what we call sesquiterpene lactones, and this forms the beta components of the dandelion. And so these particular lactones, you find that they stimulate the beta taste receptors that we might find in the mouth or in other parts of the GI system. And so when they stimulate these particular receptors, there is a reflex that increases the salivary glands to secrete more saliva, that is in the mouth, and then going down to the stomach or the gastric, then it stimulates these particular receptors to secrete more gastric acid. And then it also stimulates the liver together with the gallbladder in the production of the bile and the bile components. And also the pancreas is stimulated in enzyme secretion. And so the lactones help so much in alleviating symptoms of the gastrointestinal system. And that means that dandelion will enhance good digestion, and it also helps in improving appetite. That once there are so many people who eat a lot of foods, and their taste buds um, get damaged over time, and because of that, then dandelion can help to bring back these particular taste buds in their normal functioning, and that increases your appetite. And those are the great principles that we find in the lactones. And then there's also anti-inflammatory effects that we find from the sesquiterpene lactones, where they suppress the nuclear factor Kb and the cytokines. And so this helps in bringing anti-inflammatory effect even to the body. And inflammation is one of the big problems that we find in the body, and it brings so many diseases. And so dandelion helps in bringing anti-inflammatory effects. And then other components that we find in dandelion is phenolic compounds, such as caffeic acid, chlorogenic acid, and cichoric acid. And so these particular acids contain antioxidant and anti-inflammatory mediators. And so we have seen that it alleviates inflammation, so it becomes an anti-inflammatory even in the body. And also it plays a role in antioxidant activity, where it neutralizes any free radicals in the body, the reactive oxygen species that uh, bring about the oxidative state of the body. Remember, reactive oxygen species can damage cells, and so it helps also to protect the DNA of the cells. And then it also helps to be able to replenish the lipids and the proteins from oxidative stress. And so also specifically for the cichoric acid, it helps to enhance glucose uptake in the skeletal muscles, and the skeletal muscles have got glucose transporter type 4. Remember, in the gastrointestinal system and other system, you'll always find type 2 or the other types, but type 4 is in the skeletal muscles, and it helps specifically for the glucose uptake in the skeletal muscles. And so this helps in insulin sensitivity, and that gives us a good site of Dandelion that it can help with people who have type 2 diabetes. And apart from that, the antioxidative state of the Dandelion also protects the liver cells against any toxins and any peroxidation that can happen due to having a lot of oxidative components in the body. And another important constituent that we find in Dandelion is the flavonoids. The flavonoids are also having antioxidant properties, and more also the vasoprotective properties. And talking of the vasoprotective properties, we are talking of the blood vessels, the vaso. And so it protects the blood vessels in many particular ways. One is that it strengthens the capillaries, and remember, capillaries can, if they are affected, then they can lead to dilatation, which can cause what? Which can cause edema in some places, and when they stiffen so hard, they can lead to high blood pressure. And so Dandelion helps to strengthen and straighten the capillaries, that blood can flow in the vessels freely in the body. And it also improves the blood circulation. And as we're going to see, it also helps that it brings down cholesterol and lipids. So it is lipid lowering. And because of that, then it helps to alleviate the diseases of atherosclerosis in the body, and because of that, then we find good and smooth flow of blood, so it improves blood circulation in the body. It also has got neuroprotective component, which shields the neurons from the oxidative damage. That is a good point of the flavonoids that are in Dandelion that helps the body in recovering from any particular disease. And one of the examples of the flavonoids that we find in Dandelion is luteolin and apigenin. And from that, also the flavonoids also have anti-inflammatory mediators, that they inhibit cyclooxygenase type 2, and even inducible nitrogen oxide synthase, and even the nuclear factor Kb. And this reduces inflammatory mediators, and because of that, then it helps in anti-inflammation. It also reduces cytokines and other mediators such as interleukin 6 and even tumor necrosis factor alpha. And so this helps the body in the anti-inflammatory effect. And more also, which is something interesting, it contains a prebiotic or probiotic known as inulin. And this inulin is also contained with other polysaccharides such as pectin. And these polysaccharides have got great value in the body, one of which inulin is a prebiotic, and so this helps in the gut or the gastrointestinal system in replenishing good bacteria in the gastrointestinal system. So it feeds beneficial bacteria in the gut, which improves their balance between the good and the bad bacteria. Then it raises the good bacteria in the gastrointestinal system. Hence, it reduces other symptoms such as constipation and even the colon health. It helps to eliminate any other microbiota that is uh, harmful to the GI system. And this same inulin helps also to regulate blood sugar levels, and it slows the glucose absorption from the gut into the system. And because of that, then it is good for people who have got diabetes, that it can regulate the blood sugar levels, decreasing absorption into the body from the gut or the gastrointestinal system. And then also these particular polysaccharides that we have said, inulin and pectin, can also stimulate macrophages and the immune defense. And so this helps in anti-inflammatory action and even boosting the immune system. And then this helps the body to be able to have a stronger immune system. And also in the dandelion still, we can find other minerals and other food components that are helpful, such as vitamins. And so we find in the dandelion there is vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, and even vitamin E, and other minerals such as magnesium, iron, potassium, calcium in large quantities. And because of that, then one of the minerals that is in greater support in the dandelion is potassium. And we're going to see that potassium helps in diuretic effects, and it promotes sodium excretion from the body, which helps in alleviating people who have got high blood pressure and such kind of diseases such as heart failure also, as we are going to see. And also maybe calcium and magnesium will help in the bone health, the muscle contraction, the nerve function, and other importances. And then also we talked about iron, which can help in preventing anemia, and the vitamins also, we know the work of the vitamins A, C, K, E, also helps in even the immune boosting. And so other other constituents of dandelion that we also find are the sterols and the triterpenes. The triterpenes and the sterols also help in so many other processes, and they can help maybe the liver. The liver is being helped by the triterpenes in a greater particular manner, that it is protective to the liver because it detoxifies the liver. And because of that, then it is a good helper to the liver in the work of detoxification. And so it reduces even the liver inflammation and even lowers the risk of the fibrosis of the liver, and even the liver regeneration. It's good for helping that. And it can also help by lowering the cholesterol levels, where it competes with dietary cholesterol absorption in the intestines. And because of that, then the level of cholesterol that is being absorbed into the bloodstream is brought down, and then cholesterol in the body system is lowered, and then this will help in diseases that are being caused by high levels of cholesterol, the dyslipidemias, the atherosclerosis, atheromas, and all those particular diseases. And also still these particular steroids can offer immunoprotective functions by reducing overactive inflammatory responses. And so, as we see, then Dandelion has got components that help it to be able to work in the body in very many systems. We have seen the gastrointestinal system, we have seen the liver being part of it. We have seen it can work on the kidneys in diuretic effects. It can offer neuroprotection and even detoxification of the body and all those particular aspects. So I want us to look at a few systems in the body that Dandelion works. And Dandelion has got the parts that is being used, maybe the whole plant is being used, the roots, from the roots, the leaves, the flowers are all important. And so, talking of the kidneys, Dandelion offers diuretic effects, and we had seen that it has got high levels of potassium, and then this potassium, it promotes natriuresis, which is the excretion of sodium from the body. That when sodium is high in the body, for people who have hypertension, you realize that there are those who have high sodium levels. The high sodium levels promote water retention, and because of that, then the blood volume rises up, and when it rises, then the cardiac output also rises, which makes the heart to pump more blood, and because of that, then the pressures rise up because of the rise in volume. And so Dandelion helps to lower the levels of sodium and water. Always, when sodium leaves the body, water also follows. If sodium is retained, water also is retained. So, Dandelion works by elevating potassium, and to bring a balance, then sodium has to be lost. And so, most of the components that help the Dandelion, the body in working by diuretic effect are the lactones and the flavonoids, which stimulate also the renal blood flow. And when blood flow flows well in the renal system, there is increased glomerular filtration, which helps to eliminate more sodium and more water. And this also helps in helping the body to be able to get rid of more water, more sodium, and this lowers the blood pressure. And so this also increases the urine output, so you will have increased urine output, and even helping you to be able to have comfort in the flanks, which are where the kidneys are located. And then we also saw that Dandelion helps the liver and the bile flow, the bile or the gallbladder, and this is helped by the lactones also and the phenolic acids. They stimulate bile secretion. This helps in the digestion and all those. Also, Dandelion extracts can enhance the phase 1 and the phase 2 of the detox enzymes, and even the cytochrome P450s and the glutathione S transferases, which help in the detoxification. And because of that, then Dandelion helps even the body in detoxification of the waste products they can be drugs, they can be all other waste products that are being detoxified in the liver. And then dandelion gives a greater support to that. And also the antioxidant activity helps also to reduce lipid proliferation and protect the hepatocytes of those are the cells of the liver from toxins. And so also we find that taraxasterol also helps to reduce hepatic inflammation via the nuclear factor Kb and the pro-inflammatory cytokines, as we had seen, the interleukin 6 and the tumor necrosis factor alpha. And so this improves the digestion of the fats and also protection against the liver injury. This can be due to alcohol liver injury, drugs injuring the liver, and even oxidative stress to the liver. And so the liver is protected from such from such. And so we are seeing that dandelion helps the body in so many ways. And this uh, also include the anti-inflammatory properties and the immunomodulatory effects that we have seen from the flavonoids, mostly inhibiting the cyclooxygenase 2 and the nitric oxide synthesis that help in the increasing macrophage, bringing anti-inflammatory effects. So there is possible inhibition of the complement activation and even reducing the tissue damage. And so this reduces inflammation and even improves the immune response. And also even the antioxidant properties where we have the polyphenols, it helps in scavenging the reactive oxygen species. So there is protection to the DNA, and also it reduces the cell damage, and so the cells are regenerated well. And this can also help even in cancer patients to be able to have good cell replication and even protein synthesis. And so the antioxidant properties also enhance the cellular antioxidant defenses, where there is upregulation of some enzymes such as catalase, glutathione peroxidase, and even superoxide dismutase. And so this protects against oxidative stress, and there is properties of anti-aging and even prevention of many chronic illnesses. And also we had talked about glucose somewhere, where dandelion helps to reduce absorption of glucose from the GI, and so this regulates glucose levels in people with diabetes. And also in the skeletal muscles, also has got, it stimulates the glucose transport receptors, that is receptor 4, in upregulation the uptake of glucose and sensitivity. It increases also sensitivities of those receptors to to glucose, and so there is increased uptake of glucose in the skeletal cells. And so this reduces insulin resistance. And so insulin then acting on these particular cells to upregulate glucose use then is good for people with type 2 diabetes. And it also helps to reduce lipogenesis. Uh, and also of note is that the extracts from dandelion can inhibit some bacteria such as Staphylococcus aureus, the Escherichia coli, and even the Candida species. And specifically, the roots of dandelion induces apoptosis in people with leukemia and 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 melanoma, the cancer of the skin, and even colon cancers. And so this happens by the mitochondrial pathway and the reactive oxygen species generation. And so dandelion helps to in patients with those particular cancer related diseases such as leukemia, melanoma, and even the colon cancer. And so, as we have seen, dandelion has got great benefits derived from the components that we find in dandelion, and this is the great plant that we can be able to use to be able to alleviate our diseases, to be able to help us in bringing down the mortality of many people, and even bringing happy faces to those who are suffering from these particular diseases. And uh, if you look at these particular herbs from history, you realize that community after community used to liken these certain trees to particular things regarding their religion or their ceremonies. And because of this, then studies have shown that in the Eastern culture, dandelion was likened with or associated with the crucifixion of Christ Jesus. And 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 from this we find that from the crucifixion of Christ Jesus there is resurrection that happens after 3 days. And this shows the regenerative properties that are in dandelion, that after you unplanting that the dandelion from where it has its support and bringing it home to be able to prepare it, it's like you're drying up the plant from its natural setting. And once in the body, then the body that was deceased and almost going into a rottenness will be able to be brought back into good health. And that is the beauty of dandelion. And so God gave us these particular herbs and plants to be able to help us in our diseases. And that is why in the book of Psalm chapter 104, um, verse 14, the Bible will say that God has given us the herbs of the field for the service of man. And so these particular herbs are to help us to be able to have good health. And so even as you look into this particular plant of dandelion, then I look forward to seeing people who will have better health because of these particular natural remedies that God has um, ascribed unto us, the herbs of the field, to be able to serve us for good health. And so that will help us in having better health, good health, and energy, or in having energetics to serve God.